The debate over Ukraine aid was already complicated. Then it became tangled up in U.S. border security. Associated Press. As war and winter collide, a top advisor to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky acknowledged during a recent visit to Washington that the days ahead will be tough as his country battles Russia. While U.S. support from Congress hangs in the balance. President Joe Biden's nearly $106 billion aid package for Ukraine, Israel and other needs sits idle in Congress, neither approved nor rejected, but subjected to new political demands from Republicans, who are insisting on U.S.-Mexico border policy. Below are your comments. Remember when Congress said $4 billion for a border wall was more than we could afford, and it's going to cost NYC $12 billion this year alone to take care of a few 100,000 clownface. Putting $100 billion more on the backs of the taxpayers is not a pittance, and Joe Biden should not be given any power to sink us deeper in debt. It is time to make cuts in this bloated and out-of-control government. Why does the military pursue more WOMDs and Star Wars? It spends more than. So Joe, tell us exactly why we need to fear a country on the other side of the planet that our said friends live next to and who don't seem bothered in the slightest. And answer the question without sounding like it's 1945. Democrats are so hated in America that had to frame Trump for 7 years with fake Russia collusion, accusations, 2 fake scripted impeachments, an FBI scripted insurrection, and arrested him 4 times, and he's still losing in all battleground states according to multiple polls. Tears of joy, tears of joy. Democrats are the corrupt. Next news. 5 states where the abortion fight is likely to play out next. The Hill. A handful of purple and red states are poised to be the next battlegrounds in the abortion rights fight. GHT after advocates won a major victory in Ohio this month. Ohioans passed a proposed constitutional amendment earlier this month that enshrines abortion rights protections, seen as a major feat in a state that has trended. Below are your comments. All women and men who support them, be at the polls to defend your freedom and healthcare. This is your life and freedom. Do not surrender it to the religious authorities and puppets who are going to invest their charitable donations to gain control. Charitable donations are for charitable purpose. I live in backwards Idaho, where I fear we'll never get the opportunity to vote on this issue. At the overturning of Roe v. Wade, thousands upon thousands of people protested at the Capitol and marched throughout downtown Boise. It was so beautiful and powerful. Of course the politicians are scared. Each of these state efforts is a good start, but as we are seeing in Ohio, even when we vote and our votes are counted, Republicans are attempting to sideline the state constitutional amendment and deny the voice of the people. The only true method to protect our rights is to vote out every Republic. It makes you ponder on the locations and individuals that are focused on promoting policies and PR procedures that disproportionately terminate black embryos. The abortion subject in politics is to appeal to the non-thinkers, the selfish, and the irresponsible. Bleep reasons do not even fit in the discussions. Next news. How Dean Phillips could change the electoral math for Republicans in New Hampshire. Politico. Chris Christie and Nikki Haley are relying on big support from independents. But Dean Phillips could pull a slice of that voting bloc away. Below are your comments. From what I have seen from Dean Phillips, he will get my vote. He is young and energetic and has some very good ideas of how to move our country to a much better future. I won't for a GOP candidate, so if it is Biden I will have to hold my nose and vote for him. The GOP seems to want to impose to Dean Phillips has zero chance of changing the Democrats' nominee, but independent voters could make a major difference for Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley is ready to be president, Dean Phillips is not. I hope the independent voters in New Hampshire realize that and give her the chance she has earned. The independents who vote Republican just don't want to vote for Trump. Haley and Christie just as bad when it comes to GOP policy. Independents who vote Democrat may elect a different nominee than Biden. Democrats will still win now that America has seen the lies that GOP has pushed since the What is not to like about Phillips? It a free country, and I wish even more Democrats would throw their hats in the ring. Biden was so much better than Trump would have been as president. He supports Biden but thinks he is too old, as most Americans do. He votes with Biden 100% of the time. Americans twist into pretzels to get rid of Trump a year before the election. Gotta love it. Trump bleeped the GOP. They begged him to do it. Next news. Donald Trump will look to upstage Clemson grad Nikki Haley at her alma mater's football rivalry game. Associated Press. Donald Trump is using a college football rivalry weekend to bask among his supporters in a state and region that are key to his presidential fortunes, while potentially upstaging his Republican opponent, Nikki Haley, on her home turf. The former president and current frontrunner for the 2024 Republican nomination will be on hand Saturday when South Carolina hosts Clemson, Haley's alma mater, in the annual Palmetto Bowl. Trump's campaign has not detailed his itinerary. Below are your comments. That failed alternative league, USFL, failed in large part because of Trump bullying the other owners into trying to move it to the fall and compete with the NFL. They won the lawsuit against the NFL and were awarded $1 or $2, but destroyed the USFL in the process. He's the kiss of death. So far, Trump has only considered himself only incompletely, as compared with Republicans, who put their party over country. I'm sticking with Biden, who at least puts Americans first. In November of 24, Trumpers will look back and wonder why 40% is not a winning number. But he's becoming the Hillary Clinton of the Republican Party. Loved by few, disliked by many. Someone WHO knows Trump well. The thing about Donald Trump is that he lacks the character and the moral center we desperately need. Again in the White House. I am afraid he would break more things than he fixes. He is a hothead by nature, and that is a dangerous trait to have in a commander-in-chief. Next news. History shows House expulsions are rare. Will GOP Representative George Santos join the list? Good morning, America. Only 5 times in history has a member of the U.S. House of Representatives been expelled. Embattled Republican Rep. George Santos is facing another attempt to make him the 6th. Santos is the target of a new resolution to remove him from office after a scathing House Ethics Committee report containing bleeping details about how it said he used campaign dollars for his own personal enrichment. Below are your comments. The Republican and Democrat parties should always have to be looking over their shoulders. It forces them to bring forth policies that a majority voters will agree with. It's good for democracy and the people of America. We need more parties and more choices. The Democrats and Republicans do not have. The problem is that Americans want someone to swoop in and make everything wonderful. That's impossible. That's why the polling always shows people believing the country is moving in the wrong direction. Whoever does eventually win will be chewed up and spit out by the media, and the cycle will reap. In November 2024, younger voters are expected to abstain from voting or support third-party candidates. They seek a candidate who is more relatable to them and prioritizes issues that matter to them, such as climate change and other concerns that affect the younger generation. 5 biggest questions around third-party and independent bids in 2024. Question 1. Why has no one bid more than $13 for any of these candidates? Next news. How Democrats' climate plan is impacting fossil fuels. The Hill. Welcome to the Hill's Sustainability Newsletter, Beacon. Sustainability, the big story. Dems' climate bill has been a boon to planet heating fossil fuels. Report: the Democrats' signature climate plan is helping to unleash a flood of fossil fuels onto world markets. Even as American consumers increasingly turn away from those products, according to. Below are your comments. Why do the Democrats and their bought and paid for so-called climatologists leave out what our sun owes to this planet in all of their climate change models? They are acting like our sun does nothing to this planet when it is a known fact our sun controls our weather, climate. Climate change is just the tip of the left's tyrannical iceberg. Until China and India get on board, nothing we do will make any difference. After all, 1,600 scientists, including 4 Nobel laureates, signed a letter stating the climate change is not an immediate existential threat. Vote out the. Where do these folks think electricity comes from? almost entirely from coal or gas-powered plants. So keep that green thing going. The coal industry needs the boost. I trade options, so I am dialed in on the economy. Democrat Marxists are only good at creating a bogus crisis, and then use it as an excuse to take more of your money. That's it. They are a cancer to the economy and subsequently the republic, as is evidenced when you buy gas or ... It's getting to be a bigger and bigger plus to be old. Next news. Biden hopeful about Israel-Hamas truce extension, U.S. hostages release. Reuters. Nantucket, Mass. Reuters, U.S. President Joe Biden said on Friday that the chances were real of a truce between Israel and Hamas being extended, and he expressed hope that U.S. citizens taken hostage by the Palestinian militant group would be freed soon. Biden also praised U.S. diplomacy behind the truce and Friday's release of 24 hostages who were taken by Hamas to Gaza in its October 7 attack on Israel, saying it was the start of what he expected would be further releases in coming days. Below are your comments. Biden is such a liar. Biden is trying to take credit for the possible hostage release. He had absolutely nothing to do with it. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is the one negotiating with the Hamas. When asked if Biden was involved with the release of hostages, Netanyahu answered with one word. Joe, you paid Iran $10 billion. When are the American hostages going to be released? Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. While other world leaders are playing chess, Joe Biden plays checkers, not knowing where he is unless he is told. I don't think that with President Trump Americans will even go to parties right by other countries. You have to ask yourself, why did Biden even let them go to a party there? I think this was his plan along. Because Trump will never have done nothing like this. MAGA America is hopeful that we will have a world leader in the White House. 3 years of the most inept and extremist administration in American history, and we are the laughing stock of the world. Thanks to Biden, Harris. Next news. Could Haley really beat Trump? Big donors are daring to dream. The New York Times. Late last month, Nikki Haley, the former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, got an unexpected call from Jamie Dimon, CEO of J.P. Morgan Chase. Dimon said he was impressed by Haley's knowledge of policy details and her open-minded approach to complex issues raised in the Republican presidential race, according to a person familiar with what Hay discussed. Keep it up, he told her. He wasn't the only business heavyweight to say so. In recent weeks, a group of CEOs, hedge fund investors and corpor. Below are your comments. I don't think it is a matter of beating Trump. I think all the Republican hopefuls are in this contest in the event Trump is disqualified from running. It only makes sense for the Republican Party to a backup plan. Haley and DeSantis are that backup plan. I predict that if enough big donors do not get behind Haley, then the Republicans will lose the election. I have heard lots of Republicans that voted for Trump say they will not vote for him again due to high antics, ego, and actions over the past several years. Trump abused power, obstructed justice and Congress, took away women's rights, was twice impeached, was the leader of a violent insurrection and a coup to overthrow our democracy, and is really just a criminal that has been indicted 4 times on close to 100 charges and has been. I wish I had enough money that I could throw millions at a remote longshot. Just shows the wealth inequity in America. Next news. 5 biggest questions around third-party and independent bids in 2024. The Hill. Democrats have little patience for Jill Stein, the Green Party candidate who evokes unsettling flashbacks to the 2016 race between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, and who dismisses her role as a wrench thrower 8 years ago. But while Stein, running again in 2024, could send similar stresses through the current presidential cycle, this time. Below are your comments. The Republican and Democrat parties should always have to be looking over their shoulders. It forces them to bring forth policies that a majority voters will agree with. It's good for democracy and the people of America. We need more parties and more choices. The Democrats and Republicans do not have. The problem is that Americans want someone to swoop in and make everything wonderful. That's impossible. That's why the polling always shows people believing the country is moving in the wrong direction. Whoever does eventually win will be chewed up and spit out by the media and the cycle will reap. In November 2024, younger voters are expected to abstain from voting or support third-party candidates. They seek a candidate who is more relatable to them and prioritizes issues that matter to them, such as climate change and other concerns that affect the younger generation. 5 biggest questions around third-party and independent bids in 2024. Question 1. Why has no one bid more than $13 for any of these candidates? Next news. Long shot Biden challenger Phillips won't run again for House. Reuters. The 54-year-old millionaire businessman and 3-term congressman last month said he would run against Biden, seizing on the president's lackluster approval ratings and voter wariness over his age. It's time to pass the torch, it's time for change, and our best days are yet to come, Phillips said in a post on the X social media platform. Phillips, who first won his seat in 2018 and won re-election in 2020 and 2022, said it would be unproductive and uncomfortable to run again, given his nom. Below are your comments. I put hot sauce on my eggs this morning, instead of black pepper, and it was pretty good. It's time for some serious consideration of Dean Phillips for the Democratic nomination. Having a track record as a moderate Democrat, he could easily attract those that are concerned that Biden too of 10 capitulates to the lefties in the party and those that have an issue with Phillips Sue. I am comfortable with Biden winning since it is a fairly strong possibility that he could pass during his term, which would bring this country its first female president. It's about time that a woman president becomes a reality. Phillips, so full of himself, does not realize that it takes success in business does not mean savvy in the WH. Next news. The polls keep getting worse for Biden. Politico. Trump's vote share in national polls is higher than at any time in the past year. Below are your comments. It's impossible to tell which news reports are accurate and unbiased. But some things are undeniable. Even after COVID, we still have supply chain issues. The retail shelves are never full. Gasoline Co. End to news to zigzag up. Stores are begging to hire. Investments are stagnant. Yet some people pat the man who supposedly got 81 million votes but has never been popular. And why shouldn't Biden's numbers be tanking? He is doing everything possible to the American people's detriment. True, his policies are more focused on making the world flat, in Thomas Friedman's words. In essence, globalism takes a front seat over Americanism. Yet few are interested in all. Biden is just not presidential material, as Obama said so in not that many words. His policies are hurting everyone, and now many blacks, Hispanics, younger people, and small businesses are against Biden. On the world stage, Biden is perceived as weak, and his tendency to appease only makes things. I don't believe the polls. How is Biden losing the young voters? I thought millions of them were against Republicans taking away their healthcare rights. Next news. Dean Phillips announces he won't seek re-election to Congress. Politico. Phillips said Friday that after 7 years in Congress, it's time to pass the torch. Below are your comments. Does anyone who he is and know if he ever accomplished anything in his 7 years in Congress? If, as some polls indicate, a majority of voters who identify as Democrats, and a majority of voters who identify as independents, have told pollsters that they want Joe Biden not to run for a second term. And if we adhere to the concept of majority rule, should the Democratic Why do millionaire business CEOs feel they can solve all the country's problems if we elect them pre-sident? What do they not get about running a government? Yes, you have to handle money, but you have to work with people from all walks of life, even the ones who do not think that money should be a page. He is not the only one that needs to not run again for Congress. A lot of politicians are tired of being told what to do and that their ideas have no merit if it goes against their party's wishes. Is there still hope for our country? Time will tell. Next news. Minnesota Representative Dean Phillips announces he won't seek re-election to 3rd Congressional District amid residential run. CBS News. Dean Phillips, who serves Minnesota's 3rd congressional district, announced on Friday that he will not seek re-election to Congress. Below are your comments. I also never heard of him. If he was in Congress, he must have not done one thing that was even mentally honorable. If it's Biden versus Trump, we're voting Biden again. There is no room for middle ground at this point. In this country. He had a difficult time winning in his own district. Not sure how he thinks that he could win the presidency. Will not vote for a man who is trying to divide his own party and willing to risk a Democrat losing the presidency. A vote against Biden is a vote for Trump. Same thing goes for Joe Manchin. Dean Phillips could be a good alternative to Biden or, hopefully not, Trump. Either Doug Burgum or Dean Phillips would be my choice. Yes, one Democrat and one Republican. Get out and be sure to vote in the primaries. Don't let Trump be elected and ruin our country more. Next news. U.S. court rejects EPA's decision to withhold small refinery biofuel waivers. Reuters. A U.S. appeals court on Wednesday said it struck down the Biden administration's decision to deny small refiners hardship waivers that exempt them from nation's biofuel mandates, in a win for the refining industry. In July, the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, denied almost all outstanding petitions from oil refiners that argued the federal requirement that they blend ethanol and other biofuels into their fuel would cause them financial hardship. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth. Below are your comments. I, for one, would like to end the subsidies for ethanol and end the required ethanol blending of fuel. Ethanol uses more energy to produce than it provides. Ethanol in motor fuels is the biggest corporate welfare boondoggle ever devised. Who gets more subsidies per capita than the American farmer? Ethanol is bad for motors, bad for the environment, but rich Republican farming corporations love the stuff. What exactly constitutes a small refinery? Next news. Ranking the swing states. Where is Biden most in danger against Trump? The Hill. President Biden's re-election will largely come down to how he performs in 6 key battleground states in 2024 as he prepares for a rematch against former President Trump. Despite Biden's considerable pickups in 2020, some Democrats are sounding the alarm about his chances next year and are careful not to be overly optimistic. Recent polling. Below are your comments. This is the reason to eliminate the Electoral College. Why should only the voters in these 6 states determine the outcome for the rest of the country? It should be that whomever wins the popular vote gets to be president, not the person who wins the, say, 6 states. Dear Trump supporters, help me understand the ways in which Donald Trump has demonstrated loyalty to those loyal to him. Help me understand why you think that he will be there for you if he returns to power and becomes Erica's first authoritarian. Help me understand why you think you will be pro. Election is almost a year away. Next news. The odds are against us. Democrats in once blue West Virginia survey loss. The Guardian. The exit of Democratic Senator Joe Manchin signals nadir for the party in the state as Republicans tighten grip. Below are your comments. If Republicans are truly considered friends of the working class these days, I ask. Between their attitudes towards workplace safety laws, Obamacare, which considerably reduced the number of uninsured Americans, and unions, with friends like that, who needs enemies? I have several friends from WV, who I met at Pitt when I was in college there. They said that most progressives and educated folks seeking a better job market and opportunities la avenue their rural small towns. Also, they often clash with high school friends and staunchly Republican family members. Manchin was down by 20 points in every poll. He abandoned the things that made him popular. Berkshire Hathaway banked a cool $8 billion overnight from Trump's windfall tax cut for billionaires. Next news. The 8 craziest things that George Santos did after he was elected to Congress. Business Insider. Santos is mostly infamous for what he did before he got to Congress. But he continued to behave poorly as an elected official, too. Below are your comments. They plan to kick Santos out of Congress, yet there are many that want to elect Trump. Go figure. Santos won't be able to wear those designer clothes bought with stolen money when he goes to prison. By the way, when will there be congressional hearings to investigate Womack and his son and removing him because of his son's actions, or an investigation into Jared's $3.2 billion from Saudi Arabia, Qatar? Santos is a typical Republican. That's why they didn't move to expel him until Democrats forced an investigation. Then Republicans tried to vote Santos out of office before the investigation was done, meaning expelling him before the investigation was done would make it look like Democrats unfairly. Next news. One way Trump is fighting history. Election losers usually lose the rematch, too. NBC News. Donald Trump is seeking a rematch against Joe Biden in 2024, which would be only the 6th presidential rematch ever, and the first since the 1950s. Below are your comments. If any candidate in America doesn't fully support our Constitution and democracy, they have no business holding office in this country. If they have violated their oath to defend those things, they should be restricted from holding office. Trump thinks he has already won the presidency. He believes that the nomination means he won. If he didn't win, then he was cheated. Doesn't see the fact that the American people want honesty and truth. Something Trump will never have. I'm not crazy about Biden, but I will always vote for the Constitution. Besides, I like candidates that don't lose all the time. BTW, he lost to Hillary in the popular vote, but numbers are hard for his base. Next news. The poison continues to spread, legal losses fail to quell election denial hotbed. The Guardian. Cochise County, Arizona, has been convulsed by the actions of two Republican supervisors who question the integrity of elections and faces huge legal costs. Below are your comments. Republicans have made voting difficult, but even when we surpass these difficulties, they don't want to count our votes. Then, in Ohio, when they are forced to count our votes, Republicans are saying that they will change the law and not honor the will of the people. The only true solution to protect. As MAGAs join local voting precincts as poll workers, they are discovering that they cannot figure out how to fool the machines. Taking 100 ballots and running them through each machine always produces the same result. Dominion voting systems should take their paper Scantron voting machines on. Next news. Minnesota Representative Dean Phillips says he won't seek re-election amid 2024 run. HuffPost. Phillips last month announced that he'll challenge Joe Biden for the Democratic presidential nominate. Ion. Below are your comments. Phillips is wasting his time and other people's money. No, this person won't be the next president. And merely making President Biden's age his main reason to vote for him won't cut it. Exclamation mark. I live in Minnesota and don't even know who the guy is. If he's planning on challenging Biden for the nomination, he'd better get his ass in gear and start getting some name recognition going. Adios. He's in need of hospice care. Please subscribe to my channel. And if you like it, please thumbs up.